What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another fantasy football video. Today, we are going over the top 5 most overlooked players in the draft. I think it's safe to say that we haven't talked too much about these players so far this offseason, which is pretty crazy to think because we post videos 7 days a week. Regardless, these guys are certainly coming in at a value while also flying under the radar. Before we do get into the video, stat of the day. Yesterday's stat of the day: which running back has the highest PFF grade at this point in the preseason? The answer to that is David Montgomery. Ryan Ross, you got this one right. Let's see if you guys can answer today's correct. And I think we all can agree how valuable the slot position is for fantasy football. So let me know which wide receiver led the league in slot snaps in 2018. Leave your answer in the comment section down below. We'll be happy to let you know who wins in tomorrow's video. But on to the top 5 overlooked players of 2019. And to start this list, we have DeSean Jackson. I think it's safe to say that both Eagles receivers, that being Alshon Jeffrey and DeSean Jackson, are coming in at values right now. Nobody is really talking about them, and I'd go as far as to say that their ADPs are more a product of the players moving around them than it is for them actually moving up and down themselves. Most people's thoughts are that DeSean Jackson is washed up. If you go back and you look at his production while on Tampa Bay, he still puts up numbers like any of the top guys in the league. Last season, he only played in 12 games. If we took that 12-game sample, stretched it to an entire season, he would have finished 4th in deep receiving yards. They grade every player with a cushion score, which is one way of measuring how much separation he can get play by play, and he finished 2nd in the league in that category. So yes, he is old, but he's still fast, and he still has enough juice to play the role that they need. And he's moving from the quarterback, who is ranked 27th in adjusted completion percentage, over to the quarterback ranked 4th. It's a huge upgrade, but no, you're not drafting him as somebody who you're going to put in your lineup week 1 or have to rely on. But in the right matchup, he's going to have a ton of upside. We know by halfway through the season which defenses we can target for these types of players. There's also been talk that he is going to return punts, and if you know anything about DeSean Jackson, he is an excellent punt returner. And hey, if he could get 1 touchdown throughout the season, that just adds to the potential upside. Right now, he's going in the 10th round as wide receiver 45, and he really hasn't moved too much since the beginning of the offseason. We have him ranked higher than consensus, and his projections have him outscoring his draft price, so he's definitely somebody that deserves a bit more attention. But guys, if you want access to the rankings, you want to check out the projections, go to our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com, sign up, become a member, join our private community, get into one of these mock drafts. So sign up, become a member today. We got to move on though, and the next player on this list is Kirk Cousins. And typically we wouldn't add a quarterback to a list like this, but everybody does seem to be off Kirk Cousins this year, maybe because he was drafted too high last season, maybe because they didn't make playoffs, but it really doesn't add up when you think about it. He threw for 30 touchdowns, which was actually the first time he had done that in his career. He saw career highs in passing yardage, completion percentage, his 2nd highest quarterback rating, his 2nd most rushing yards. It was all around a great season for him. And think about it, that was year 1 in this offense, and a year without Dalvin Cook for the most part. Imagine what he can do with a successful running game, and a year in the system, a year more accustomed to Stephon Diggs, to Adam Thielen, and hey, Kyle Rudolph is still a weapon on this team. He was used actually quite a bit in the red zone, and I could see that being an area of improvement into this coming season. With players like Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, they don't have any rushing production to give them a safe floor. So if he has a bad passing day, it really impacts his final score on the day. While he did go over 20 points, nearly 1 out of every 3 games, his bad games were really bad. He was held to around 10 points or under in another 5 games, and the rest were not over 18 points. So it was pretty ugly when it got ugly, but we're not drafting him to produce like he did last season. The upside is in the improvement in the offense and him being more comfortable in the system. I will admit though, his division is going to be tough. Playing Chicago twice, playing against the Packers, it's not going to be easy, but at the same time, he's the quarterback 19. He still finished as a QB1 last season. In what world is he going to drop 10 spot. I mean, the dude was second in the league in passing under pressure, second in adjusted completion percentage, and he didn't have a whole ton of time in the pocket. He was in the bottom half of the league in that category. So we have to give him credit where credit is due, and right now he is being overlooked unfairly. It's exactly the reason why we wouldn't even stress feeling the need to grab a quarterback early. And if it just so happened somebody took Lamar Jackson at the end and you didn't get your early quarterback, there's guys like Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo that you can easily stream and easily take off the waiver wire that will get you through matchup to matchup. But we must move on. Up next, we have a player that maybe some of you out there aren't aware of. His name's Trey Quinn, wide receiver out of Washington. Right now, you don't hear too much news about him. He's dealing with a thumb injury, but it's really not too serious. And the coaching staff is super excited about getting him involved. It's unfortunate he was really expected to light it up last season, but that got cut short due to injuries. He did come back for a brief period, but then was held out for the remainder of the year. He did get some action though, and in his 2 games that he actually saw the field, he saw a combined 10 targets in 2 games back to back, catching a total of 9 of 10 targets for 75 yards and a touchdown. And those weren't all in one game. He very well could be a PPR starter right away. And then you have to think, if Dwayne Haskins ends up starting, there is just that much more upside. His skill set, it does fit any quarterback on that roster, so you don't have to wait for Haskins for him to have his value. He's not an athletic freak. He's a late round pick in the NFL draft. But from what we've seen and what the coaches are also saying, the dude's got it. Depending on where you get your ADP from is going to depend on where he's falling in drafts. But I'll tell you right now, he isn't even in the top 66 on Fantasy Football Calculator and is going undrafted in Sleeper as well. So realistically, this is a guy that you could snag with one of your last picks consistently. But we must move on. The next player is Damien Harris of the New England Patriots. And if you've been following us all offseason, you likely have heard the name Damien Harris. Those of you that are new may not have heard of him at all, but he is the backup in New England. Right now, he does have an undisclosed injury. He left the last preseason game after getting no first-team reps behind Brady. So you must be wondering, why does this sound like a player I would want? Well, the reason for that, New England running backs in the later rounds have a high hit rate. Sony Michel has a high chance of being injured. In fact, Sports Injury Predictor has 4 injuries listed since 2017 and gives him a 55% chance at missing time this season. If he misses time, yes, James White will be more involved. But they are going to need somebody to fill that role, that Sony Michel role, and that's going to be Damien Harris. Now, he has been falling in drafts. I understand due to the injury. I understand due to not getting first-team reps. But so far this preseason, he's had 14 carries for 80 yards at a 5.7 yards per carry clip with 3.14 yards after contact per attempt. On 14 carries, he's already evaded 3 tackles. And these are exactly the types of things I want to look for when selecting which running backs I'm going to be taking in the later rounds. The Patriots, they came out and said, they've been talking him up a bunch, saying how great of a football player he is. And believe it or not, he has fallen from the 2nd pick in the 10th round to the 9th pick in the 12th round. Okay, so we're talking an RB ranked in the mid-40s, dropping to the mid-50s. We have him ranked in the 30s, and you might not even have to take him there. So guys, make sure you look out for Damien Harris. He blew up earlier, but people are starting to forget or starting to like other players, so don't overlook his role and opportunity for 2019. We have one more player, and it's Sterling Shepard. And I know I talked about him and gave him an honorable mention in a video last week, but that is not enough justice for how overlooked he is beginning to be in drafts. Take advantage of the fact that people are afraid of the broken thumb. A broken thumb is not going to hold him out for the season. Players play with broken thumbs all the time. This offense, it's not going to be great. But after what I've been seeing in the preseason, I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought, or at least there's a chance of that. And what I've seen from Daniel Jones, yes, it hasn't been pretty. The fumbles, those were really bad. But at least I see that he can accurately get open players the ball. So if Sterling Shepard puts himself in a position to make a play, Daniel Jones can likely do it and may not be as significant of a drop-off from Eli Manning as I had originally anticipated. As for Shepard himself, he's a second-round talent. He may not be the most athletic player in the league, but he does have excellent speed, excellent burst, and playing the type of role that he does in this offense, that's all he really needs to be productive. We have to face reality that Evan Engram may not finish the season. He has been really banged up between last year and this year and started out camp with a hamstring injury. So we just have to be prepared for that. Sterling Shepard would be the guy that you would want first. Golden Tate obviously suspended for the first 4 games, but getting him integrated into the offense is going to be its own obstacle. During the final stretch while Odell Beckham was out, he received no fewer than 6 targets. He wasn't able to connect on a lot of them. 25% of the passes that came his way were not even catchable. I'm sure that they can improve on that, and he's currently going in the middle of the 9th round. If he remains healthy all season, I don't even see a possibility where he finishes outside of the wide receiver 3 territory. But right now, he's being drafted as the 41st wide receiver off the board. So yes, he is being unfairly overlooked, and I think he's actually coming in at a value. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. We really hoped you did enjoy. If you did, how about you hit that like button? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.